Yeah. How y'all doing? Good. I'm a wrestler. I got into acting because I was a wrestler.
Give the kid a toy.
I used to kick this guy's ass, man.
Well, the mushrooms are kicking in.
Teach him how to make that toy.
Right? This doesn't even work.
Hello, Chris.
Hey, this is kind of like when we used to do tag team in wrestling. You didn't know who your opponent was when you pulled into a city, you got out of the van, you drank a can of Rheingold, and you went at it like a couple of cats. So, someone who knows what they're talking about, take over, I'll take a seat.
I wish I understood a word you said, but
I feel like we got to get you a better microphone.
Yeah, who are you?
I mean, I heard cats.
I got to do my Andre.
And I saw a member of the cast.
I don't know.
Here.
I don't even...
Sorry, I love Andre. This on Andre last night. It's like, no, come on, do it right here. I love you, brother. Please take me back to Ukraine so I can work with you more. Okay. Hi, hello everybody out there. All right, are you running the show? Come on.
No, actually, this is it's a freeform show. We've all got our own.
So I'm going to go ahead and run the show.
Good choice.
I'd like my guests, who I should know who they are, please introduce and tell us a little about yourself.
I was going to say that to you, from right to left or left to right.
You, sir.
Okay, Quinton Flynn. Oh, my God, so many credits. You know what it's like, guys, right?
I mean, you're a Hollywood legend, yeah.
There you go.
Go ahead and run down your top 5 best.
Geez, going back to 93, I replaced Nathan Lane as Timon and Around the World with Timon and Pumbaa.
Oh, my.
That's a good start.
Little applause on that.
You know, video gamers out there? Okay, Raiden from the Metal Gear series, Axel and Lee from Kingdom Hearts. Who else? I don't know. Gosh,
Fantastic.
Sheldon.
Moving on. Tony,
Moving on.
Tell us a bit about yourself.
Hi, I'm Tony Daniels. I've been around the block. My top 5?
We can tell.
There's too many. You guys know me from Gambit from the X-Men, especially in the video games in the 90s. Tony the Tiger. Bunch of video games, too. I love video games. It's so much fun, man.
Are they great?
They're good. But they're even better when they pay more. No, it's a lot of fun. And what else? It's hard to, because I'm trying to play Mr.
You're doing great. Moving on.
Thank you, Mr. Fletcher.
Hey, what's up? I'm Josh Keaton.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Most notable roles would probably be Spider-Man in The Spectacular Spider-Man, the Teenage Hercules in the Disney movie Hercules, Shiro in Voltron Legendary Defender, Green Lantern in Green Lantern the Animated Series, and come on. I'm yes, I'm a little girl, and Jack Darby in Transformers Prime. What was the other one that was? I was Steve Rogers in What If.
Significant.
Yeah.
Right on.
Thank you.
Nice.
Tim.
Hey, and thanks for taking over too. Apparently our host couldn't make it, so I appreciate you stepping in. And
Yeah.
I know it, but it's great to be up here on the stage with all you incredible talents. And I'm a guy from the video game industry, NBA Jam, NFL Blitz, MLB Slugfest, NHL Hits, Wayne Gretzky, 3D hockey, and pinball games, The Twilight Zone, Rod Serling, Elvira, House of Horrors, Popeye, and a lot of fun games. So stop by, you can see all the other games. But thanks for having me up here.
Cool. Yeah, great to be here. So I'd like to go maybe starting again. Like, how'd you get your start in this? It's this very specific lane of entertainment that we have.
The short of the long is, I ended up putting together a voiceover demo and knocking on doors in Hollywood until an agency needed my type, had me in for an audition, liked me, said, we'd like to represent you. And
how long did that take of knocking on doors? From the first time you had the idea of like, this is something I might want to do.
That's a good question. Maybe 5 years.
And what year was that?
1992.
Right.
I've been in the business 31 years.
Dope.
So yeah.
What was the job you had before that? Right before you got?
I was working at a music and video store.
Right on.
Yeah.
Some Quentin Tarantino.
Exactly.
Shit. Yeah.
Quentin Tarantino, Quinton Flynn. We did the same thing.
Perfect.
When I first moved to Hollywood, I worked at a place called 2020 Video in Ralph's, which was then known grocery store.
Yeah, Rock and Roll Ralph's.
Rock and roll, you know it.
Of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
And every kind of bizarro person in the world came in there. So fascinating.
The odds are good, but the goods are odd at Ralph's.
It's very
Yeah, totally.
perfect.
Yeah. How about you, Tony?
I started as a musician. I was playing professionally when I was 11 years old, and some radio guy came in. I had this voice when I was little. Believe it or not, I didn't go through puberty. I swear, I was like, it was even deeper. I actually had to study opera to get 4 octaves out of it. And so this guy comes up and goes,
Hi, I'm Big Shotgun Tom Rivers. I want you on my show.
I'm like, okay, I know who you are. He goes, wow, where'd you get those balls? And I said, I don't know. And he goes, how old are you? I go, 11. He goes, there's no way. So I went in with him and did radio, and I went, this is what I want to do. So I ended up in radio for a while. And then there was a casting director that was like, you should do some bits. So I started doing funny, I started doing impressions of everybody. I think my very first one, this is a true story. I was telling Gary Kurtz, we talked about this. That's Chris, by the way, who is C3PO. Anyway, so Gary Kurtz, I got to work with Gary, and I said, Gary produced American Graffiti. And I said, when I was a kid, Wolfman Jack would come to Toronto.
Wolfman Jack.
That's right. He'd come to Toronto. He'd come to New York, Chicago. So this one time he came to Toronto, he was wasted. And they brought him in the studio, and I'm a kid there. I've been working there part-time as an intern, and they go, God, he's got to go on the air. What are we going to do? And they fill him full of coffee. We got to get him on the air. We'll do like 3 old stop breaks, and then we'll see what we can do from there. And I go, well, I can fill in for him. And they were like, what the hell? And I go, yeah, I got it down. Don't worry about it. And they're like, how old are you? I was like 12 or 13 at the time. They go, screw it, let's do it. So the producer would tell me what to say, and I'd do it. And then he comes in, and I'm like, holy crap, it's Wolfman Jack. He comes in, and I go to leave. He goes, where you going? I go, you're here now. He goes, sit beside me. And I sat the whole night, and then he gave me a headshot and said, you sounding good, keep practicing. He even wrote practicing. What the hell was that? Yeah. So as the musician went into voice, and then I went, okay, so I started at this radio station. They kept saying, oh, can you learn Elvis's voice by Monday? I was like, no, I can do it now. Thank you. And then, so I do that, and I ended up on Erie, Indiana, the other dimension, doing Elvis. Gained 88 pounds for it. I didn't lose it, Bassini boys. Anyway, so yeah, I started doing more characters, and every week it'd be something different, do a spot. Can you do, the one weekend he was like, okay, I need Dudley Moore by Monday. I'm like, Dudley Moore, shoot. So I went and rented, about a weekend, I set Dudley Moore down, right? I walk in, he goes, what voice are you doing at Dudley Moore? He goes, I want a Dudley Do-Right. I go, you idiot. And I went,
Oh my goodness.
oh no. And so that's where it came from. Captain?
Yeah. I'm a surviving.
That's a great answer. Anyway, back to me.
I'm a surviving child actor. I joined the union when I was about 4.
Holy crap.
And it was basically my older sister got into the business doing like talent shows. She was a singer. And so she got an agent doing that. And so she got sent out on auditions here and there for commercials and whatever. And I was this little precocious kid, and I would have to tag along because my dad would work 3 jobs sometimes. And so my mom had to schlep us around. And so I was at this audition with her that I wasn't even really there to read for. And I just start talking to the casting lady. And she ends up bringing me in, and I end up getting this commercial. My sister did not, even though I wasn't even there to audition for it. She still probably hates me for that. But that's how I got into the business at first. And then from then on, I just kind of did a little bit of everything. I mean, I started out in on-camera. So, I mean, I was auditioning for on-camera things. I did some voiceover here and there. I was Linus in like a Peanuts special. That was like my very first voiceover gig. And I didn't really focus on voiceover until probably I was like 15, 16. I got Hercules, and that kind of led me to get a voiceover agent that just specialized in voiceover. And so that opened up a whole other a lot of other things that I wasn't even aware of were voiceover. Like, the people that say coming up next and this show or whatever, promo
Coming
work,
up next, tomorrow night at
All that stuff.
7:30.
Yep.
Only on Fox.
all that stuff. Basically, I didn't even know about that. I didn't really know about like radio ads, commercials, and so started doing all that.
You're watching it.
And so, sorry, man, it's just train of thought. Oh, man. So yeah. So commercials, all that. And then I was in a boy band for a while. When I was,
What?
yeah.
You were where?
I was in a boy band called
Boy
No
band.
Authority that
Called what?
was signed to Michael Jackson's label. We actually had our record release party at Neverland, which was really awesome. But
Did you get out of there
Can you
safely?
do the moves?
I probably can't anymore, but I don't even remember them. But we did use a couch in our act. We would jump around on a couch. And so,
I'm
yeah,
glad
I mean,
you're safe.
I'm sorry?
I'm glad you're safe.
Thank you. Thank you
Yeah,
very much.
Yep.
But
I've
I mean,
heard there's been mixed results out of Neverland.
Well,
That's
he
all.
didn't have Lewis as, and he didn't have Lewis as producer, right?
which one?
Big Lou.
Big Lou.
You
I
know,
don't
with the
who that is.
Backstreet Boys and
Oh, Lou Pearlman. No, see,
NSYNC.
well, the problem with us is that we had a manager. See, Lou Pearlman, super shady. He's still in prison. He'll be there for a long time.
he's a Chester,
Thank
by the way.
the Lord.
No, not a good dude. But whatever, that being said, he still had enough connections and knowledge to get you famous. Our manager was shady like that, but didn't have the connections or the knowledge to get you famous. So we did some stuff in Europe. We did okay in Europe. We toured around here. We didn't really do a whole lot here. But then after that, like, I just didn't want to work with this guy anymore. Like, the manager was super shady. He wanted me to quit like acting and school because he didn't want to have to schedule around it. So I ended up leaving. I'm taking forever. I'm sorry, y'all. But so I ended up leaving that and kind of going back to on camera. And so I started auditioning, and then there was like this writer's strike that kind of affected everybody, and a lot of the parts that I was auditioning for dried up. But at the same time, I started getting some really good voiceover roles. And so at that point, I started really enjoying the fact that I could audition against type, because I'm Latino, but I don't necessarily fit into a visual box of that. So when I was growing up, I was never Latino looking enough to audition for Latino roles, but I was also not really Caucasian looking enough to audition for Caucasian looking roles. Or All-American was what they called it back then.
You look all American to me. bro.
I've grown into that. But like my features, like when I was still kind of awkward,
Yeah.
I definitely had more of an ethnic look to me.
And it's like
still a
it's
great
a crazy business.
And I
where
was
it's
just right in the
you
middle.
got a casting agent or whomever who's taking all of their preconceived ideas of
Yes.
what is. We spoke about that.
There's this
yesterday.
gatekeeper who
It's
has to decide
it's
if you are
insane.
this
It's an
race
insane-
looking enough.
It's an insane business.
You know?
Keep your kids safe.
Yeah.
I swear,
Yeah, and
if
so
I
I hated
had
that.
his looks, I'd be a multi-millionaire.
Thank you, sir. But I mean, that's really when I started to notice that I had so many more opportunities in terms of different parts to play. Like, I wasn't limited to what my physical type was. I've played characters that are 6'4" and like 220, and I've played kids and when I wasn't any longer a kid. I mean, there've been so many different. I've played aliens. I've played all kinds of things, and just been able to go against type. And that's when I really realized how much I loved it, because it was always part of my career, but it was never something that I really focused on until I was like, this is freeing, you know?
Dope. How about you, Tim?
Follow up. First of all, you look like you'd still be in a boy band. You look great. I don't know.
And he's 62 years old. A lot of you guys don't know that about Josh. Yeah.
When you dropped the Linus thing, I'm like, that blew my mind. A couple things I've never understood. Was that the last time that they had actually kids do kids' voices as opposed to adults and women? Go ahead.
Well, they already had adults and women doing kids' voices back then, but Bill Melendez, who was the one that produced all these specials, was always insistent that it be children.
Was
Always. It was at the time. It was. I mean, now they have a lot more stuff. Like I have a daughter who she also does voiceover, and they use kids in that show. But Spidey and his amazing friends, actually. But it's that at that time it was something that was unique to the business.
How did you approach the Linus character? Had you heard the other kids do it? And
I
that to
had-
me is one of the most.
Wait, how old were you?
Probably like 10.
Yeah,
10
when
or
I was
11?
10, I was definitely figuring out how to approach characters.
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
No, I mean, but I had watched it, but I was still kind of just doing my own thing. I always had really good pronunciation when I was a little kid. Like, I was Jules Brown in the Back to the Future animated series, which was like the brainy of Doc's kids. And I still remember to the day the line that got me the part. It was, I'm computing the logarithmic equivalent of the atomic weights of certain isotopes found in the lanthanide series of rare earth elements. And I was the only 11-year-old that could like rattle that off.
Nice.
And so I think that that's probably that kind of overpronunciation of the R's and all that, because Linus, he was always kind of, he was kind of smart, but still had his blankie and all of that.
To me, it was the best thing, for voiceover, because those guys, as an actor for myself, I go, how do kids like get into their roles so deeply? Because it still moves me to tears. Like when Linus says his Christmas thing, and I mean it's just so honest. It's just the greatest work.
Absolutely.
So, God bless you for having a shot at that. So I kind of like, it's interesting, everybody's different stories. You were saying the other day, like, you don't always expect what's coming next, but once you do, you throw your hat over the fence, you go get your hat. People always say, how do you get into voiceover acting? Well, like, how do you get in the pool? You go off the diving board. How do you get into voiceover acting? Who the fuck knows? And I was chasing the stage dream. I'd been trained as a classical actor and done my Shakespeare and Chekhov, which I absolutely love, and I would still probably give my right arm to be doing that the rest of my life at stages around the country. But as we know, it generally doesn't pay. And if you have a young child, and you're trying to pay the bills, it was a different path. So it was chasing auditions in Chicago. It was 1987. I loved SCTV, so I said, you know what? I'm going to go to the source, go to Chicago, because they were way better than Saturday Night Live as far as I'm concerned. And they weren't political or trying to be the, flavor of the moment in all shock and drug stuff. SCTV, look how many people, Catherine O'Hara, Rick Moranis, I mean, on and on. Yeah. So I went to Second City. I'm studying there. And it happened to be like the second golden moment. The first one was like Alan Arkin, all the original people, Elaine May, Mike Nichols. So I'm there, and it's Stephen Colbert, it's Stephen Carell, it's Tina Fey, it's Tim Meadows, Chris Farley, it's like on and on. So after you go through the program, you have to audition, and I auditioned for 3 years. And I got to get in. Dude, Tim, don't give up. You're number 3 on the list, but number 3 behind your type. You're behind Carell and Colbert and these other guys, because I wasn't the big guy. I wasn't the Asian guy, So it was a very tough nut to crack. And in the meantime, I decided, well, I'm waiting tables, but I'm never going to give up on one of my original passions, because when you're little, I want to be an actor and I want to be a rock star. I want to be a drummer. So I always played drums, and all my money from mopping floors and shoveling sidewalks, $450. At 15 years old, I bought a set of Rogers drums, and I played them, and I drove them out to Chicago in a $100 rusted-out Volkswagen, because I didn't want to sell them even though I needed the money. And I said to my buddy, let's have a weekend band. We'll just play our favorite jukebox hits. And one day, one of the guys playing guitar goes, hey, Tim, I work out at Williams, the pinball company, and we're looking for a voice for Gilligan's Island. Can you do Mr. Howell? I'd rather do Ginger or Mary Ann like most guys, but how much is it pay? It's $50 an hour, Well, throw in the skipper, I'll do it for 100, whatever. So I go, Gilligan, maybe we could bribe Conan. Oh, lovely, where's Teddy? It was enough to get me through the door, and I realized this is crazy. When I was little, every single day coming home watching Gilligan's Island, I'm thinking, I'm wasting my life. It was the beginning. If I hadn't watched all that, I wouldn't be here. If I hadn't played my drums. So the moral of the story, ladies and gentlemen, follow your passion, because I got into voiceover because I love drums, because my hard-earned money to play drums and live in the moment, even though I knew drums were never going to take me anywhere, they took me here. So There you go.
And what's the difference between a drummer and a pizza? A pizza can feed a family of 4.
Oh,
Exactly.
And I wanted to be Jerry Lewis. Oh, ding.
oh, that's great.
And also, one of the 4 lads, the Fabs, the Beatles,
Well, I don't know who he's talking about.
They got John here.
I only played him once in a commercial we were talking earlier.
That's it, yeah. And I did a couple of movies at Sir Paul.
Well, I hated you, especially when we were working with Peter Jackson, that son of a bitch.
Yeah.
I didn't say we were greater than him, just the more popular. Oh, look, it's George.
That's the truth,
And Ringo's right here.
Our George is here, and he says, you're all wankers. You're all
Ringo's
wankers.
shy.
I just wanted to add, I grew up in Cleveland, Ohio, outside, a kid with a dream. So I crossed country after I had done a lot of theater in high school, radio, TV, film in college, and 1 or 2 commercial voiceover classes. I didn't know that could be a career at the time. Right. And then once I got out to LA, I had an animation voiceover workshop class with a guy named Bob Bergen, who happens to be the voice of
The Porky Pig.
Yeah,
He's a good friend.
Yeah,
I love
and he
Bob.
was great. And so within a couple of years of doing everything like yourself, musician, improv actor, writer, A wise friend of mine said, why don't you focus on this voiceover thing? Bob says, you're really good. And that's what I did. And that's what led me to where I answered you about putting together a voice demo at the time. And back then, pre-internet, of course, you literally had to walk around knocking on doors, bringing 8x10 headshots, resumes, cassette, and, audition.
How expensive was your first demo?
I don't remember.
Yeah, I mean, it's a time when you actually needed headshots.
Yeah.
Right now you got an iPhone. It's like it's ridiculous.
Right.
And you'd go pay $600 or $800 for headshots or something. Yeah. What are the jobs that? I mean, how long before it pays off? You know what I mean? How long before it's like I don't have to do X, Y, or Z anymore, or does it? What are the parameters of that for you guys? You Josh, you just were in it for forever.
Yeah, I mean,
right?
I was fortunate in the fact that I was
You've never
involved in the
known what
business.
a job is.
I've never had a real job.
That's amazing.
Yeah, you grew up in it.
I grew up in the business. I've never had like a real job. I've contemplated getting one just for the experience.
Yeah, right.
I'll
Wash
get you
the
one.
dishes.
Yeah.
Let's go.
I'll tell you what, there's
No, don't want it. Don't do it.
He's a method
It's
actor.
It's overrated.
Yeah.
He's a method actor.
But see, then I could just kind of say, you know what? I don't need this. I don't need you. I really don't. Bye.
Yeah,
and then
right.
just like walk out.
I don't need this
And then
job.
just do the power play.
Well,
I
I'll
think
tell you
that would
what.
be fun, but-
At the age of 16, there is nothing like taking out a giant garbage can filled with waste and liquids from a restaurant, dragging it all the way into the back of the parking lot and pushing it up onto the dumpster.
Oh yeah, that would be terrible.
Having it fall on you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I've thought about doing like trade stuff though, because like I fix things a lot around the house. Like I'm a very good repairman. I'm a good mechanic. I do most of the home repairs and some of the renovations and stuff in our house. And I was like, you know what, maybe I can get a contractor's license. And I know a lot of the code and all that. Like it's just that's a separate passion of mine.
Yeah.
So you're employable.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even though I was doing the thing, my mom made me go to college and learn to be an electronics engineer. I hated it. I didn't stay in very long, about a week.
Could you do it if you had to?
No, I wouldn't want to. I couldn't do it if I had to.
Yeah.
Even to survive, I'll go be a Walmart greeter first.
Wow.
I might join you.
Yeah.
All right, well,
That would be a couple I would love to walk into Walmart and see.
Right?
These two guys, huh?
Hey, how you doing? Come on in. You like it here?
There'd be no way I would walk in.
No, Quinton would be
terrified.
arrested.
Stick
Get the
around.
kids and let's go back to the car.
Yeah. No, come here. Come here.
I would mess with people all day long, and especially if I heard different accents, because I'd match it. Right, Andre? Welcome to Walmart. Go buy something stupid.
There you go. I'm going to tell you a true story. A number of
We'll
years ago,
see.
I was back outside of Cleveland. True story of Johnny Carson for any of you over 50. Yes, okay, good stuff. Wild and wacky. I went, yes, thank you, Ed. He's drunk again. I went into a Home Depot and I thought I'm going to get a job. I was back home looking after my mother. And a gentleman, that's being kind, sat me down and looked over my resume. And I can't recall what question he had for me. But I said, well, in 3 weeks, I've got a convention in May. He's like, wait, what? I said, well, there's a convention, there's times on weekends. I'm sure we can work it out. I'll work overnights. I'll work any hours. I'm a nocturnal guy. He goes, yeah, no, this isn't going to work. Thanks for coming in. Bye.
The Home Depot? Wow.
It was, Home Depot, yeah.
Wow.
The guy, he was not in a good mood. He just didn't want to hire anyone, but he certainly didn't want to hire me.
Did you
That's a
come
true
in?
story.
Did you come in with a voice?
I didn't.
I was wondering if you highly annoyed him before. He's like, I'm not going to be able to deal with this guy for 8 hours every day.
No, I was actually nice to him, and he was a prick to me from the start.
Damn.
Yeah, God bless him.
Tim, did you have one of those kind of stories? Yeah.
Those jobs.
Yeah.
I had a job as one of the guys who dries off your car coming out of the car wash in college. I scooped ice cream at night, and I was washing the cars, and you sit on the dryer till the car comes through. And I noticed one of the other guys flip on a switch when a Cadillac came through. So my third day there, I'm like, I'm going to get off the dryer and show initiative and flip on the switch. I go in there, and all of a sudden I hear, "What the motherfucker?" And this guy coming out of the car wash, like it was like from Apocalypse Now, coming out of the jungles, and now I'm with helicopter. He's like, "You almost took my internet off." He's like, "I was just flipping the switch." "Who told you to flip the switch?" And he goes, "Tim, I'm gonna have to let you go." He called me into the office. He goes, "You know, it was pretty amazing. I got out there. Nothing happened. No one's ever done that before. You're dangerous, Tim." He said, you're a nice kid. I like you. You're dangerous. But if you ever need a job recommendation," so that's how I got into voiceover. I asked him, "Tim, he's fucking dangerous around the car wash, boy. He can do voices."
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, don't work in radio either. I've been gassed more times than anybody in radio. You're fired. Get out. And then they hire you a week later because their ratings go down. Thank you.
Right. You ever do promos for a network where they
21 years. So, well, I've done several networks, but this one's 21 years. It's probably the longest time anybody's ever done promo.
Oh.
Yeah.
Did you guys ever switch to like podcasting or anything like that? As these genres have changed, you guys have been around for, pre-internet and all that. Like,
I got
as
an
things have
agent
changed,
a
what's the
number of
biggest
years
thing
ago
that's
told me
changed?
that.
I'll do one with these guys. It'd be fun.
Yeah, I haven't done one, but I'd like to.
I feel like there's only room for you two to talk.
No,
if you guys had one.
I think you're probably right.
Josh can fit in.
I've had
Tim-
to transition to social media for sure.
Yeah,
Like, there's a lot more stuff that you have to do now.
Yeah,
Just kind of on your own,
Yeah.
unpaid stuff and TikToks, and there's.
And the bigger you can make your name, the bigger.
You got to kind of go where the audience is for sure.
Yeah.
Like, because for a while it was Facebook, and then it was Instagram, and then it was Twitter, and there's still some people on Twitter, and then
Friendster.
Tumblr, and I remember Friendster. Yeah, that was pre MySpace.
MySpace.
yeah.
I miss Tom.
Yeah,
It was
I
a
miss
simpler
Tom.
time.
He was
It
my
a simpler
friend.
time.
I thought he
Tom.
He was
liked
a good
me.
dude.
Yeah.
But nobody's on any of those anymore. Even YouTube's kind of going down the tubes. It's TikTok's kind of taken over everything in terms of audience.
Because they're owned by China. So
Yeah.
The other thing is that like everybody's kind of trying to chase that format now,
Yep.
that shorts format.
Yep.
So like a lot of YouTube creators are not happy about it because they don't really get paid for the shorts, and so that's what YouTube's pushing is shorts.
Yep.
So everybody's just kind of on TikTok now.
There are podcast series too, which is a bit odd.
I just did one with this singer, this music artist, Jason Derulo. He came out with a podcast that I'm going to be in.
Love him.
Yeah.
And that kind of blew my mind. Like, they're like, "You're auditioning for a podcast," and I'm like, "What do you mean for?" Because I
was like
remember
radio
podcasts
theater.
being like
Auditioning
like an interview
for a podcast.
Yeah,
I did one
usually
called,
it's like you go on, you get interviewed with somebody, but now they're doing stories.
They're series.
It's like a
I did
radio
one
play.
called the White House tapes.
I've done a few.
Yeah.
But I
What would you guys have told yourselves when from speaking from where you are now, like, and you're a kid and you're trying to figure it out? What is there advice you would give? Do you have something that you would leave yourself with to guide you?
The same thing my father told me, but I would have explained it to me in detail. Become a doctor, an engineer, or a lawyer. Go for the long dollar.
Right. But if you can't do that, follow Tim's footsteps. Get in a Second City or any improv group.
Yeah.
Because that
Second City or Groundlings.
I was a Second City boy, and I grew up with John Candy and and Gene Flaherty, and actually I worked in radio with a guy named Rick Allen, who ended up being Rick Moranis.
Oh my God.
So he was doing
Jerry
overnights.
Todd. Jerry Todd.
Yeah, Jerry Todd. And his real radio name was Rick Allen. He used to do overnights at Chum FM. You're listening to Chum FM, the great powerhouse in Toronto. So he was overnights. And it's like, wow, this guy's got a beautiful voice. I watched this little tiny guy, Rick Moranis. I go, wait a minute, you're Rick from Second City? He goes, yeah, how are you? Yeah, it's amazing.
He turned out to be like the biggest powerhouse right out of the chute, with his Ghostbusters and Honey, I Shrunk the Kids and some of the other guys.
The McKenzie brothers, right?
Yeah,
Bob
yeah.
and
Oh, my
Doug.
God. Yeah.
Strange Brew. But to go back to your question, I said it before. It's like if you're following anything that makes you happy, and you said that, I think you said it yesterday when you guys were up here, but whatever really makes you happy, if something you're passionate about turns you on, it's going to lead to other things. Like if you love nature and you're out driving, the old Robert Frost poem, which road you're going to take. Like as long as you're following the beauty, you're following the path, you're going to wind up someplace really cool, and it's always cooler to wind up someplace you didn't expect when you started out on your journey. So it's those little sidetracks. Don't be afraid of the things that are going to take you off the road. But once you make kind of the deal with the devil, you go, I'm going to be an artist, an actor, a voiceover person, you have to realize real quickly you made that deal. So there are going to be really hard things you're going to have to do, and you can't sit back and whine and complain and be a victim of like, this guy's, I'm better than him, or you don't make your excuses. Just be the best that you can be, and find different roads within being creative. Because most of us that are artists, we're artists in many different capacities.
Right.
Builders. I mean, I've heard the stories yesterday. All the building you do, artwork. I do artwork. I've designed a couple of restaurants, nightclubs, just because of my theater background. I had to make money. So just get creative, use your resources, and realize you're not just an actor. First of all, you're a person. You're a person that is creative. That's what led you to that particular vein. But you can get on stage, you can voice, you can do the music. So get out there and have fun. And if you're not one of those people, probably smarter, that didn't take the artist, actor lifestyle route, find then those passions that you can follow to make your life richer. And we certainly appreciate you coming out here and building us up and giving us the stories that we make you happy. And it's the same thing for us. You come in here to tell us that our lives and my struggle made you happy, makes it all worth it.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Follow your bliss. It's all about the heart.
And Tate, you lived that life basically. When you became MMA fighter, it's a commitment. So, like Tim was saying, you got to commit if you want to do something. Really commit. I get people all the time go, I really want to do voice. It's like, okay, I'll tell you what to do, but you got to work at it. What do you mean? It's not going to be a cakewalk.
Don't forget to play.
A cakewalk, really.
Oh yeah.
Right? Don't forget to play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can never forget to play. But yeah, even growing up as a kid, there's thousands of kids. I mean, first of all, there's going to be a bunch of kids who actually want to do it, and then there's going to be a bunch of kids who have stage parents that push them in it, and there's still whether or not they want to do it and whether or not they have a falling out with their parents later on in life. Like at that point, they're still going to be playing to win. They're all going to be playing to win, and you have to go after. You have to go after it, no matter. No, if you want it, then you got to do it.
Man,
even as a kid.
I'm a horrible. This is my first time at this job, and I want to ask you guys. You got any questions? Does anybody in the audience have any questions? Thank you very much.
Yeah, can we have a hand for Tate?
If you guys got any questions you want to ask any of these fellas? And I never even put my phone on silent. This is really my first time. Yes, sir. Andre has a question.
So the question to all of you guys. So if you you get a new project, you've been doing it for such a long time, so you have this voice library in your head, right?
Yeah.
So you get a new project, new role. How you approach it? How you decide what kind of voice you're gonna do for that character?
Well, when it comes down to auditions, we get what's called, for people who don't know in the industry, sides, usually. And it's a picture of a character, gives you the age, the background, what they do. And I kind of try to give what it looks like they want. And then I go for an alternative second take, something I think would be a little different or unusual.
Exactly. And some of the other places, because I'm the king of mimics, there's really only 9 voices in the world. The rest are just copies. Like if you guys were doing Johnny Carson, I did Johnny for a couple of things. And if you think about it, you pitch him up, and now you've got you got Bugs right there, and it's the same sort of voice. So I'll find celebrities that people really like and go, love that voice. I'll steal a part of that and put it in, like when I did with Andre earlier. I did his Russian accent with what was it? We mixed it up. It was really cool.
Like a mashup.
Yeah. So
No one since it's Al Pacino.
Oh.
That's a cop killer. That's a cop killer.
Yeah.
That was all on Al Pacino.
Yeah, and you just.
Wiggum was what's his name?
Yeah, dirty right there, yeah. So I mean, that's all it is. You just take people you love and respect in the business. You kind of steal from their voice and put it into your character.
I kind of work, I guess, a little backwards for voiceover. Because I grew up in on camera, so I prepare it as if I'm going to actually perform it. I prepare it and I block it out. I imagine a place. I go through all the same kind of sensory work that I would for an on-camera part, and the voice kind of ends up coming as a result of that. I'll think about character motivations. I'll think about I'll make up headcanons for what's going to happen in the story and where I think they would be and all that. And I tend to kind of pull out the voice after I kind of know who the person is in my head. And so that's how I approach it.
Excellent question.
Getting back to what you were saying about Second City and playing, that is, one of the things I'd like to leave people with. One of the most important things that I've learned was the ability to play. You learn as a kid, right? So I grew up I'm one of 7 brothers and sisters. We didn't have a TV until I was, I think, 6 or 7, and it was like we're playing. We're just playing constantly. And what you realize when you get older, there's no right or wrong way to play. When you're a kid, you're doing your little characters and puppet show or acting. You don't go, you're doing that wrong. There's no wrong to playing. There's no wrong to when you do improv. When you're in the sandbox as a kid, you go over to a friend's house, you find that kid in school that you want to sit next to because you know you're going to laugh really hard. That's what I look for my whole life, the people that you want to sit next to in class, the people you want to be out back with, the people in the sandbox. When you go into an audition, I don't worry about what anyone else is doing because we were all like 6, 7, 8, 9 years old. If they were over at my house that day, you guys were all at my house, we'd all be having a goddamn good time, right? So I don't worry about you being better than me or any different. It's like, and whatever we say, the other person reacts. That's what playing is. It's like we're making believe.
Yeah.
So
Right.
that's the whole key is just be the kid again because all the other jobs that I've had, the structure, the rigidity, the working in the restaurant, the rules, the big boss man, that's your chance, in acting. Like, so I never get nervous. It's like, this is what I want to do. This is my freedom. This is my drug. I don't need drugs. This is you can do anything. What was it? The kid in this purple crayon, the book, and he just draws like, there's a ship, there's the water. That's my life. Like whatever you want, you just create it, write the next page. So,
And I don't know if Josh has experienced this, but I have. The camaraderie between people who do voice more than they do on camera. It's amazing, right?
It's a totally different business. Like,
Yeah,
that's another reason why I kind of gravitated toward voiceover because it really was more like a family.
Yeah, because I'm not trying to be better than you or him or her. I want to live within the moment within you, and especially if we're working together on a show. Oh my
Sure,
God,
of course.
It's like I love ensemble work if we can get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's sadly become so rare now.
It's rare.
Post-COVID.
It seems like comedy work almost. Like I used to hang out with a bunch of comics, and all you guys have a familiarity like that, and the idea of play inside of this. And also, what strikes me is the confidence. Right? There's no timidity in this kind of work. You just you're just going forward as you are, and why would I not? Right?
Yeah.
Is there something? Is there truth in it? Am I saying that right?
No, that's right.
Absolutely,
And you
yeah.
probably bring that back to the on-camera stuff too, where you make yourself vulnerable. And even as a voiceover doing cartoon stuff or whatever job you're doing, I don't care what it is, commercial or promo, you leave yourself a bit vulnerable out there so they can feel a bit of you in
Absolutely.
the performance.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the reasons why acting is so difficult because you're literally taking a piece of your soul and like kind of presenting it to everybody to consume and judge. And
It's almost like doing poetry on stage, like a sample
Absolutely,
or something
yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
It's like
It's
you've got to
your
be
life
vulnerable and
experience.
courageous.
Yeah, if
Yeah.
you believe what you're saying and doing, you're going to believe what I'm saying and doing because I'm not thinking about what I'm saying and doing right now. I'm just being me, and I don't even know who I am.
here's a little paradox of the people on stage that are most interesting are the ones that are most honest and vulnerable, the ones that have a secret and they have something. And that's the same when if you're at a party and you see someone kind of like off in the corner, but there's something interesting about them. You're trying to figure out who they are. And then there's someone else, like one of us in the moment, like, blah, 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 look at me. Well, the paradox is, though, all of us, although right now we're talking about a lot, comedy, obviously, improv, what you're picking up from us that really go after it the right way is you're picking up on our enthusiasm and love of being funny, of sharing the energy that's bouncing between us when we're doing it. Yeah. It's not the look at me people that you're interested in. I'm not. The look at me people are a turnoff. It's the people that are enjoying themselves so much it's contagious, and the actors that have that vulnerability that I want to go over to the corner and see who you are. And that's another great thing when you have a chance to meet strangers. And these conventions offer us a chance when we've come out of COVID, and a lot of people also who are game fans have spent a lot of time in their bedrooms, in their basements, maybe only children, may have, only, don't have a parent anymore, one parent household. So you've been alone a lot of your life. You come to a show, this is your tribe, this is your family. There are going to be other people that don't have confidence, that aren't, and believe me, there are a lot of people, all of us, we've, plenty of moments of like, our confidence is shot. And what are they going to think of me? What if I'm not funny? What if this is, so this is the chance to like, make some new friends. The shopping's fun, the cosplay is fun, but I've always found and we get to meet people at our booths it's a real struggle for some people to come up and like just open themselves up and tell a very vulnerable story about how you made them happy.
And that's a beautiful
incredible.
thing.
That power
What a
is
gift.
incredible. So what I'm encouraging is anyone like here who's at these shows, take that moment in to go, there might be someone just at the table or, next to you at the board games. Just meet new people here. This is our safe place, right?
And I can't speak for everyone here. Well, maybe I could. The thing is, I'm more comfortable on this stage than I am sitting behind that table out there in that big room.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Anybody else have any questions?
Any more questions?
Yeah.
What was the worst job any of you have had in voicing?
In voice acting. Everybody hear that? What's the worst job you've had
Your
in voice
order's
acting?
ready. Pull up to the window. It'll be $2.95.
What was that?
Yeah, the old McDonald's. I used to do that when I drive through McDonald's. I'd pretend, Hi, I love the double pastrami and rye. Oh, very funny. Welcome to McDonald's for those of us who don't have a sense of humor. So they didn't like that.
I remember, I'm not going to say the product name, but I did this. It was like an infomercial for this product that they would sell to teens. And I was the voice of this for a while. And I remember the first time that I did this job, the guy that came in who was like the creative guy, very, very high on his own farts, very, he seemed like the kind of guy who was probably in his mid-30s and still went out to like 18 clubs every night, that kind of guy. And he basically, I went in there and I had gotten cast for this thing. I went in and I did my read from top to bottom of this entire script. Not to pat myself on the back, but, I hit every timing, everything was right. He proceeds to basically break it up into line by line by line by line and line read me each thing. So basically, he wants me to parrot back exactly what he does, like this way, and then da-da-da, and then this way. And then what ended up happening is that after 3 hours of line reading this infomercial, his boss came in and they ended up using my first take.
Yeah, of course.
So
Redemption at the end of it, at least.
It was horrendous.
Yeah. It's the worst when you're doing commercial because you're at the mercy of the clients, and if the producer's weak, you're screwed. I only had one job where I went, oh God. In the audition, I was with this brilliant, it would have been Quinton, by the way. It was this brilliant improver, and we were back and forth, and it was amazing. We didn't even stick to script. And they were like, that's the guys, we got to get. So we get in there, and I show up, and I'm like, who are you?
Yeah.
They put some other actor. Yeah, and I went, and this guy was a dud. Dead. It's like, hello, and he's like,
And now he works at Home Depot.
no, he was murdered. Anyway,
Doesn't hire guys like me.
no, so I'm like, God. So they go, guys, sorry, it's not working out. And this guy was like, he's still reading the lines when he went, and oh, shut up, we're finished. And then they said, so we're going to send you home and we'll just give you demo rates. So the Friday of that week, my other buddy, who was the guy that was supposed to be in there, he goes in with another guy, miscast again. They had to fire them both. It didn't work. So yeah, that was the worst job. Other than that, I can't remember anything except I had a real weenie on an ADR job, and it just I'm like, are you kidding me? He goes, that's the wrong accent. And I'm going, excuse me, you're telling me I'm the king of accents. I never accent in the world, and you're gonna tell me, dude, I can do 150 accents in a minute and a half, and you're gonna tell me? And I go, where are you from? And he's like, somewhere else. I'm like, dude, forget about it. That's the only other time I got really mad. But other than that, I've been lucky that most of the jobs have been smooth.
I had one difficult job very similar to Josh's, in that it was for Twix, which is kind of fun.
The left side or the right side?
Ooh, so that's something to think about. We can go deep on that. You may remember the commercial at the time. It was, Twix, 2 for me, none for you. That was me. Hey! Thank you. Where's the money now? Anyway, I gave them what they wanted, basically, up front. But at the time, they used to fly the writers, producers from out of town into Los Angeles. They came in from Chicago to do this project. Well, they have to justify their positions and what they're doing and TikTok, right? They need to spend some time to justify being flown out there, and I nailed it in 5 minutes. So what they did is they had me do 47 takes, ABC, 3 in a row. And everything, they threw everything at me. They're like, give me something Southern. Okay, Twix, 2 for me, none for you. Okay, give me Liverpudlian. Twix, 2 for me, none for you. Give me something else. Right, Twix, 2 for me, none for you.
A barbarian.
What?
Barbarian.
Barbarian? Yeah. I wouldn't even know where to go.
I can't believe I stumped him, guys.
Yeah.
Huh? Who's the new king?
I mean, it depends on what,
It's over.
what part of the country. I was doing a barbarian. Something like Twix, 2 for me, none for you.
Now I'm scared again. Now it put me in my place.
And
Now,
like,
can you
I
do
don't
it
know.
like Simon
Can you make
Bar
it lighter?
Sinister?
Yes, of course I can. Make him deeper. Deeper. Younger. Younger. Younger still. Younger.
Simon Bar Sinister
And-
says you have not accomplished your task. Sweet Polly Purebred must die.
And I didn't understand him either.
Yeah. And
But at the end,
When
I
was your
went
first
out, I
date?
was signing the contracts, and they were chatting, and somebody slipped up in front of me and said, yeah, that was great. We used to, what was it, take 2? Yeah.
yeah. And the opposite, my
When are you going
favorite.
to do some voiceover?
My
You've
favorite
talked to me
job,
before.
like
I've never done any. I'd love it. It'd be great.
You haven't?
I have no idea how to get into it at all.
Yeah, that's why we're here.
It's just such a different
see
It's
me.
a
I'll help
support group. We're your
I've got
intervention,
to do,
man. You got
we could be a boy band. What do you
I'll
guys
do your
think?
demo for you. I'll do your demo.
All right.
All right.
Well, first of all, it's all about acting. Improv is great.
Yep.
And online, true. I want to be a voiceactor.com. It's
Yep.
a genuine website that a friend of ours
That's
put
a
together.
great question. If you're interested in it, how do you go about it? I want to be a voiceactor.com.
I want to be a voiceactor.com. It has answers for everyone from beginners to intermediate and to veterans.
Amazing.
And what Tim said, you have to work hard and love it. Love it.
Love acting and playing.
And
doing
love it. It's loving to play, right?
Yes.
It's like
No
that's
matter
we're
what you
talking
do in
about.
life, actually, right?
Being willing to take direction
Yeah.
47 times.
Yes.
And one quick thing, your favorite job?
Oh,
Favorite voiceover?
Question.
oof. I'm going to wait on that one.
That's a hard one. I mean, I love them all. I mean, I got some special ones, but the quick turnaround one was my favorite. I went in to do an ADR I've ADR'd for millions of people, and some pretty cool people.
Tell everybody what ADR is, just so they're on the same
Automated
page.
dialogue replacement. So they'll call me and go, "Can you do Al Pacino?" It's like, "Yeah. What do you need?" And so you replace his voice. Connery, yes, I can do Sean. Patrick Stewart, So I did like 678 celebrities now, something like that. And there was some not so celebrity, just stuff I made up. But one of my favorite jobs was not a ADR for replacing somebody's voice in film. It was to go and do a samurai in a Pepsi commercial. And it's a funny story because I go in there, I'm 10 minutes, I'm always early, be early, right? Always to every job, every audition, early. So I go in there and the sound engineer guys are going, "Oh, let's get a sound." So I do it. And they go, "You know what? Let's just roll a tape and catch one." And it's just a guy swinging a sword. And I go, "Hey!" So one take, perfect, right? And they're playing it back. They go,
30 grand.
It was more. but that wasn't the fun part. Well, it was pretty good. But that paid off the police. Anyway,
Not the band either. So the take was great. And they said, well, we have you for like an hour. Let's do some more. This is so embarrassing but funny. So they go, all right. So I go, and they go, even harder. One more. Yeah. I swear to God. And the son of a bitch sound engineer captured that. And every time I would go to studio to do another commercial or a cartoon, he'd be like, hey, how are you? I go, good. And he'd play it. I hated that guy. I hated him.
So is that when you're doing stuff where it's been a movie where they have to do the language for TV? Like, that mother fudging? That kind of thing?
I've done that too.
Or is it when they've actually slipped up, they haven't had the right audio quality and they don't want to ask the star back, so you're covering for them?
Most of the time, like a lot of guys and gals won't do their own ADR. They hate it, right? I had to do Christoph.
Plus, it costs a lot more.
It costs a lot more. I won't tell you the movie because it's against our rules. But I had to do Christoph Waltz. I had to do 37 lines of his in a movie. And it was really cool. He wasn't available. We started shooting another film. So he goes, yeah, just get someone else to do it. So I go and I do it. And then I hear back from the director, they have to go capture him for 5 lines. I did 37 lines in like 2.5 hours, something like that. He was there for 7 hours doing 5 lines.
He couldn't do himself as well as you did him.
So the director, because he couldn't match what he had done on camera, because he wasn't moving his top lip on this one, right? So I heard from the producer said he went down with the director to shoot this thing and capture his face and everything. And he goes, we should just get that fat guy from New York to redo it.
And
I can't believe they said that.
That one.
That guy, yeah. Come on, tell us.
I just want to say my favorite, I have 2 of them, easy. One, huge Spider-Man fan as a kid, reading the comic books, watching the 1960s series that they reran in the 70s. Now, Josh has done far more than I have, but I got to play Spider-Man in Marvel's Ultimate Alliance. So that was a dream come true. And also, there was a series called Johnny Quest back in the 60s, 1966. Okay? And there was more, I'm not sure. You might be right. But Tim Matheson, who was in Animal House, he was a child actor, and at that time, he was Johnny. So 30 years later, we did a reboot in 1996, and I was Johnny in Johnny Quest. Come on, Haji, we gotta go find Bandit. Where's Dad? So I worked with Larry Houston, and I was the Human Torch before that in the Fantastic Four.
You know what's really funny is that I was Human Torch in Ultimate Alliance.
Say again?
I was Human Torch in Ultimate Alliance.
Is that right?
So we kind of did the little flip-flop. Yeah.
How cool is that?
That's kind of cool, yeah. Very cool. I'd say my favorite job, there's 2. The first one was obviously Spider-Man, because Spider-Man was like my favorite comic book character growing up. I read the books. I watched a lot of the shows. And Peter Parker to me was kind of like me working out my high school trauma, because when I was in high school, like however you are in high school as a freshman, however you get pegged there is what you are the rest of high school. It doesn't matter what you do, you're really not going to do anything to change it. And so I was a dork in high school, and I was shorter than everybody. I got bullied all the time, relentlessly. I was really into science. I was really into computers. I was like the guy that set up the computer lab in our high school. I was like the tech guy. But I got bullied. But at the same time, I had this whole other group of friends outside of high school that were like my actor friends, my entertainment industry friends. And among them, I didn't have any of that stigma. So I would go and I would hang out with them, and I'd feel great, and I'd feel confident, and the world was awesome. And then I'd go back to school and get shit on every day. So it was like I constantly had that Peter Parker Spider-Man dynamic all in my head, minus the spider powers. And so getting to be able to, I guess, like work some of that out on animation was fantastic. And then the other one would be Shiro and Voltron, because you don't really get a lot of chances to really make it your own completely on an established property. Like when you're playing somebody like Spider-Man or something that's been around for a while, you have to play in a certain sandbox, even if you bring your own thing to it, in order for it to be true to the established character. But with Shiro, they said, well, he's not going to be Sven from the 80s show, and there really is no template for the original Japanese anime in English, so you can pretty much have carte blanche to do what you want. And so that was amazing, and getting to be able to find the nuance in somebody who's supposedly like really was just real military bearing and doesn't show a lot of emotion. To be able to find the little nuances that made him not a one-note character was awesome for me as an actor.
Favorite character, Tim?
Actually, doing the Twilight Zone for pinball, I was still pretty new at Williams Pinball, and I thought I was just getting jobs because the guys knew me and I was cheap, $50 an hour. And I was able to pull off the Rod Serling, and I found out later it had to be approved by the estate, and that they had actually been looking all over the place at the top agencies from all their top dogs, and $500 an hour, and I got it for $50 an hour. But anyway, the game still is regarded as one of the greatest pinball games. It's used for tournaments all the time. And the fact that Twilight Zone and Rod Serling are my favorite TV show and one of the best writers, best minds. We need more of those kind of voices, especially with all the shit happening today. So that was the highlight of, I think, my career, is doing something that's kind of forgotten, but it was very, very iconic in some ways. But the other one was MLB Slugfest, a baseball game. So for the first time going down this voiceover road, I ended up doing my Second City skills, improv, writing, and performing my love of sports. So the beginning of the baseball game, normally a game used to load 60 seconds. There's just a dead screen. So we came up with the idea, it's gonna be an improv of me and Jimmy Shorts, who's kind of like a drunken Harry Carey, getting ready for the game in the booth before the show. So we did 70 off-the-wall improvs, and at the end of the game, we did a call-in show, and I wrote the whole script. And he was a guy when I moved to Chicago. He was one of the funniest guys. He was on with, the Howard Stern, Gary Meyer, Steve Dahl, all those things. And I went, one day I want to get my comedy on his show. And now I was asked, who do I want to work with? And I said, this guy. And we did work for 2 years, and I'm in the booth. The first year, we're actually mic'd, like on the same, like each had our own mic, and I'm looking right at him. But you know what's so much fun about voiceover? You never know what voiceover actors look like, And when you're growing up, they were real to me. They were absolutely real. So I had a vision of this guy his name is Jimmy Shorts. I'd like a picture of it. I have it a folding chair. So I pictured him like Sid Dithers from Blondie. But here's this guy, 6'3", he's got kind of a mullet, totally different. And I'm right next to him the entire time I'm recording. I'm seeing the cartoon character that I envisioned him as. And I'm out of body because it's not me, Tim, the young actor coming to Chicago. We're these two guys in a booth. It's all in my head.
Yeah.
That was great.
That's dope. Any other questions? Yeah.
If you could have picked one other character in a film or video game or show that you've done, other than the character you played, who would it be?
That was pretty
Do you mean,
So like if you were Peter Parker, would you have liked to have been?
Maybe Harry or something?
Yeah.
oh, I get it.
That would be Mel Blanc. That man is a god. I mean, and someone said recently that he should have actually won an Academy Award, and it's certainly like his acting performances as cartoon characters is better than some of the other great actors of our lifetime. Like his commitment to those characters, as I said, you absolutely believe they're real. They're not cartoons. They are full on realized. Even like the ones that are basically superlatives, even Yosemite Sam.
Yep. Well, that's how I learned opera.
What's that?
From Bugs Bunny.
Yeah.
They always had the best music in those.
But some of there was a little bit of a trick. They did a little bit of speeding up for his voice for certain characters.
Oh,
right?
yeah, Tweety.
It was like the Beatles, yeah. Well, obviously that, but even some of the others, just a little bit of pitch shifting.
Granny.
Man, oh man.
I think I'd like to do Joker or Green Goblin. Yeah. That kind of thing.
Ooh, yeah.
You should do that when you get pulled over by the cops. It freaks them out.
I don't know. I don't know if I'd give up Spider-Man. Like, they've been trying to take it away from me for so long.
You don't have to give it up.
Yeah. I don't.
We're gonna bring you down.
We're no strangers to love.
Boy band.
Yeah. I don't know. The weird thing is that I actually got to play Norman in a different version of Spider-Man, which was bizarre. That was a weird thing. Yeah. Maybe Flash. Maybe Flash Thompson. So I could just be a total jerk. Yeah. We'll say Flash. But I would like to see him have an expanded role. I would like to see like down the road when him and Peter become friends. But you saw shades of it in the beginning of Spectacular Spider-Man, where he was the only one to call him out for being a jerk when he had the symbiote and all that. But yeah, maybe Flash. Flash Thompson would be fun.
I don't have one because that means I'd steal work from a friend.
Come on, you do everything.
I'm saying that to garner favor. Thanks.
I know, you did. And they love you for it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But a good
Any
question.
other questions? Yeah.
What's a role that just like from the first time you stepped into the booth to the very last session, you just had a blast every single week?
All of them. I'm not kidding you. Yeah.
Right back here.
Yeah.
Has there ever been a moment, like it's been a long day in the booth, and you were stumped, the director was stumped, and you just made this strong, outrageous choice, and it stuck the landing, and it's something that you're like significantly proud of?
That's a good question.
Made an outrageous choice, stuck a landing, and what?
Is there something that, like to this day, you're like, I did that. Like, I'm proud of that.
Like you kind of came up with something, you took a risk, and then.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you were frustrated by the whole thing. It took a long time, and then all of a sudden you just took a different turn. And
Yeah. I mean, that happens a lot in commercial. So when you're recording commercials, a lot of stuff, because the writers come in and there's like a million cooks. Unlike TV and film and stuff, there's less producers, so there's only 10. But in commercials, you can get 50 in a room, and there's always somebody who's like, I don't like the way you said the word the in sentence 4. It's like, shut up, but you can't say that. But yeah, oh boy, I'm trying to think of one. Yeah, it's tough because
Because
commercial's easy because I've done that like a
But
trillion.
no, is there something you've done that you went, I love that I just did that?
Well, a lot of that. Anybody see the show Yin Yang Yo?
What?
Yeah.
What was
So
it?
I Yin Yang Yo. So I did a lot of voices on like a ton, right? And what was cool about it was the head guy, Steve Marmel. The first day we were in, everybody's sticking their lines. Well, I don't stick to my lines. I always give, like you do, a regular read of their line, which is great. And then I go, this is good writing, but here, let me shoot something there. So it's like, I think it was, the first one was on Altimus. I'm like, it's Altimus, right? And then I just added this thing, and I can't remember what it was. And he goes, dude, I can't pay you as a writer, but can I keep that? And I go, of course. So for the whole series, all I did was improv it, and it was amazing, right? And that makes you feel good because you stick the landing, like you said,
Yes.
and you just go, wow, that was really freaking cool. That I don't think I would have ever got anything else as funny, and as long as you don't piss them off. The opposite one, forget about it. Every time I gave them an alt, that was way better than whatever the guy wrote or gal wrote. It would be like, nope, no, we're not using that. Sorry, we're not using it. It's like, oh man, my line's better.
Terry doesn't like that illegal.
Yeah,
Right. Well, it's good to stick to your guns and put it out there, because the worst thing they can say is no.
Yeah.
And I was doing a character named Axel in a video game called Kingdom Hearts, and he had a line that was, "Why do I get stuck with all the icky jobs?" Now, when I was 8, I probably used the word icky, but this guy's in his 20s, maybe 30. But I was afraid at the time. I just went, I got to stick to my guns.
just happy to be on the job, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm just going to do it. I'm not going to get into it. Several years later, another version of the game comes out. Icky is in the script. This time I said, hey, guys, this guy's a little older. How about nasty, filthy, dirty, naughty? Something else, something a little different than icky. What do you think? And there's that silence because they put you on mute. So you can't hear the producers.
Man.
And I'm sitting here and they're talking amongst themselves like.
And you've just taken a real risk.
Right.
Yeah.
And like, and they said, yeah, let's go with nasty. And so that for me, it wasn't so much a performance that I stuck, but it was a risk that I took.
You got to be courageous.
As an actor.
Yeah.
To say, I think this character.
A lot of network shows and things like that, they're very precious about what the writer has done because it's been okayed by everybody.
Yeah.
But to do that, you sometimes make the more authentic choice that they like better. And I love what you said. If you don't show them, we're never going to know. It's always going to be no if we don't ask.
Well, that's right. That's the worst thing they can say.
Totally.
Little kid shows.
But being brave enough to do that, I really feel that is because you're like, God, I'm just happy to have the job and thank God I'm in the room and all that kind of this hierarchical kind of pressure that's on you. Like, you don't want to screw up your shot. And how do I conform into this, which is not what creation is. And that's why I love to be with the directors or with whomever is like, well, why don't you play with it? You're not going to, Favreau said one of the greatest things ever. And the director was all, well, how's this going to go? And how's this going to, he goes, I don't think we're going to find that out until they run through it a few times. And that's where the magic of creation happens. Like you guys with improv or whatever else. I really admire that. In holding it loosely, it's art.
Yeah, little kid shows is harder because they have to go through something called S&P, standards and practices, so you can't get away with it as much. I mean, there are little words you can change, but you can't change textual meaning because it could take the bit in the wrong way, and it's harder for younger children to understand. And so, when I work on Daniel Tiger's Neighborhood as like Owl and stuff like that, they let me play a little, but I can't change the stuff so much that, it'll cause an issue.
The people who are the overlords, they need to earn their money because they make a lot of money. So if they don't make decisions and if they don't stifle the town, that's a nice suggestion, but it's not going to fly. They have to be important, look important, and veto things. Otherwise, you're smarter than them. Totally. So it's that way of, that thing you were saying earlier, you've got to put it into their mind that they somehow came up with.
Right, make it seem like it's their suggestion.
I had this idea, that last commercial, but if you can make it feel like it's their idea. But imagine, being a voiceover guy, like for a session musician, you got to come in, you're the wrecking crew, you play a certain lick. But the wrecking crew, they were more creative. They were the ones that, Hal Blaine and all those guys, they added. So when Brian Wilson was doing his thing, but the Beatles, try to get in there and start to tell them, no, don't do this, no, don't do that, no, Ringo, do this. It's like, so you're an artist. You're not just a gun for hire, although I guess you are, but we are all artists. So we want to be the Beatles. We want to compose our songs. So they're like telling you how to write Hey Jude right on the spot. I go, Lou, that guy who wrote Hey Jude, your version, like, hey Jude, you're a lonely dude. You're like, I got a better line, don't make it bad. So no, I don't think that's going to work. The young kids, they don't. So it's always that struggle to be yourself because you're better than most of the shit out there if you let it fly because they didn't have your life. They're not creative artists. They're management people.
Yeah.
I love that part about it is like a guy told me one time, I go, I don't know what they're looking for in the audition or whatever. And he goes, F them, Tate. None of them know what they're looking for either. You go in there and show them you and do your thing. Yeah. And that's what you can stand on. And I think it's beautiful. Thank you guys for being here. Yeah. I know if these guys will all be out at their tables, if you guys have more questions, I think we got to wrap it up though.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you guys. Yeah.
Give it up for Tate. Come on.
Thank you, man.
Brilliant.
Thank
Brilliant.
Fantastic job, Tate.
It's a real pleasure, man. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Thank you all.